Hey folks, so we're going to talk a little bit about visual rhetoric today, and we're going to do this by talking about what rhetoric is, what exactly visual rhetoric is, composition, and semiotics. So rhetoric is just the art of persuasion. When we talk about rhetoric, we're talking about persuasion, and visual rhetoric is the art of persuasion and communication through images, typography, and texts. So one of the areas of rhetoric that is highly contested is composition. Is what we write, does that matter? And we talked about this a little bit with Melania Trump's jacket. I don't really care, do you? Was that purposeful or meaningless text on her jacket? Here's another one that is pretty popular and has gone around the internet quite a bit. Fonts. Fonts do communicate something to us, and just by the composition, just by the way that it's illustrated and it's communicated to us. Then there's semiotics. So semiotics is signs or symbols. We accept certain signs and symbols in specific locations, and sometimes when we take them out of context, we have no idea what they are discussed as. A perfect example of this is back at the Army-Navy game. I think this was just this last year in 2019 in December, is that a lot of midshipmen, which are Navy officers, currently going through school, got in trouble for for showing this little circle and fingers game. And there was really two different ways that you could interpret this sign. And one of them is a circle game. The circle game is an activity where one person makes a circle with their fingers and holds it below their waist, convincing a second person to look at it. If the second person looks at it, they receive a punch to the shoulder. And I randomly found this online. If you come back over here, he's like kind of right at his waist. You couldn't really make a decision which way that is. But according to the Anti-Defamation League, it can also be a sign for white power. And we have seen this rise in the last couple of years. But the question is, which one was meant? The Army and the Navy did determine that no malice was meant at the Army-Navy game. However, it's still questionable because signs mean something different in different contexts. Then we've got graffiti. Now, graffiti can be fascinating, and graffiti achieves three functions. The first is to allow marginalized text to participate in public discourse. The second is that graffiti serves to the purpose of expressing openly controversial contents. And the third is to allow a marginalized group the possibility of expressing themselves publicly. You might have even seen this a lot in kind of dystopian novels. You often see graffiti as a way of passing on information. From V for Vendetta to Mockingjay to 1984. Graffiti held a certain spot where the oppressed and the marginalized could really make their selves be heard. This is a wonderful video that really kind of expresses some of the interest when it comes to graffiti.
Yeah, we've had a lot of interest on it, as you can imagine. It's, I think by far the most asked about lot in the sale. Yeah, so the artist put the frame on as well. You get that quite often with paints, you know, he quite likes the romanticism of, you know, having the very, you know, National Gallery-esque frame, you know.
What champagne? And all the artwork that's being sold is going to a foundation.
But I think this is like a fair price. It's the fun of auctions, you know, everyone's got a chance.
Okay, it's the bank seat. Girl with balloon, ladies and gentlemen, standing in the back of the room. And I'm going to start getting here 100, 150. Take it, Thomas. Sebastian's bid at 750,000. If we never finish an auction with such energy at 750, no, 800 is the next bid. 800,000, thank you. No pressure. Last chance at 850,000 pounds. 860. 860,000. Fair warning. Can I sell it now? At 860,000. Last chance. Bastien will be bidding and selling for 860. Your attention, as we're saying.
So, what did you think of his controversy? Banksy, of course, is a famous British, we assume he's a British graffiti artist who has been all over London. He's also made a rather famous opening to The Simpsons at one point in time, and usually with some sort of message. So, my question for you is, what do you think the message is on that? It appears to me, although we can never be certain of a lot of what we see, especially on the internet, but it appears to me that Banksy himself was the person who was recording at Sotheby's. And if he was, why do you think he chose to put into this video what he did? So it's something really important to think about. The last thing I like to talk about is memes, and I think memes are super interesting. I did one of my grad school papers on memes, and it's a style of rhetoric that combines elements of semiotic and discursive approaches to analyze the persuasive elements of visual texts. And so we have these texts, these pictures that kind of come in and out of popularity. Right now we really have Surprise Pikachu is one of them, but really a question is why don't we use the clearer version? Why do we always see this funny version? We see a lot of these older pictures that kind of come in and come out, and they're always overlain with this second narrative. So in whether or not we're looking at Pikachu or we're looking at sarcastic Willy Wonka, it has this built-in narrative with it. Surprise Peekaboo is that somebody has surprised you. Sarcastic Willy Wonka is he's going to be sarcastic to you. And then there's some sort of overlapping story. And the memes that become very popular, these two storylines kind of have to emerge and go together. Memes have this way of spreading and changing. And that's actually why they're called memes, is because like genes, they can change. And so this was a very popular campaign logo back in 2012 when gay rights was still being fought for in the courts. And the Human Rights Campaign came up with this very simple logo, and it's just equal sign, red background, kind of a pink thing. And it really expanded to being, at one point in time it was Yoda, I can't remember what it says anymore. You've got Bender saying screw equality, I'm gonna make my own internet cause with blackjacks and hookers, which is again that kind of narrative for the from the show. You've got Bacon, which was very popular in the 2012. I don't know why, I don't eat bacon, so and you even had the opposition who tried to suggest the opposite and suggest the Defense of Marriage Act and suggest the popularity or to support Proposition 8, which made gay marriage illegal in California until the Supreme Court ruled that it could not be illegal. And so you see all these kind of stories. You see how memes kind of change with time. They have resurgence. And everybody kind of puts on their own little twist to it while still honoring the basic level. For a meme to become popular, it has to be found as true. And that's going back to our narrative paradigm. If that narrative coherence and narrative fidelity and narrative probability do not line up, these memes are never going to get off the ground, which is really fascinating. So I really want you to go back and find a meme and look at it. What are the two storylines that are being intersected there? Is it the Human Rights Campaign with Bender and his, kill all humans attitude? Is it Pikachu being surprised with another narrative of somebody shocked that somebody's surprised, or whatever it happens to be? It can be really fascinating to look at these things over. So what did we talk about? We talked about rhetoric, which is the art of persuasion. We talked about visual rhetoric. We talked about composition, and we talked about semiotics. All right, folks, we got one more lesson for today, but I hope you guys have a great